Hello, it's February 1st, which means I need to do a new wrap up, a new journal update, and a new TBR. So, first off, I am going to talk through a little bit of a change that I kind of want to make. I don't want to film individual wrap ups, journal updates, and TBRs anymore. I think I'm going to try and lump them all into one video, which means that these might be a lot longer. So I'm going to try and do some sort of like I don't know what you call it, like timestamps at the bottom where I switch between each thing. And with that, I'm not going to do individual book reviews anymore. I am just going to walk through all of the reading challenges that are in my journal and talk about the books as I go through that. So, to start out, I'm going to tell you the stats of what I read first. So for the month of January 2026, I read 12 books, and those totaled up to 4,190 pages. I am currently in the middle of 8 or 9 books. That's been a problem all month long. I've been trying to finish them, and I keep starting new ones instead of finishing the rest. So, the books that I'm in the middle of are Mate, Moon-Blooded Breeding Clinic, Imaginary Friend, Crooked Kingdom, The Second Death of Locke, Bridge Kingdom, Love and Other Conspiracies, and Jade Legacy. So, I don't think I'm going to finish many of those this month because I am wanting to focus on primarily Black authors and buddy reads that I have picked out. In case you didn't know, February is Black History Month, and although I do try to read diversely year-round, I want to prioritize Black voices. So my TBR later in the video will have a good mixture of authors, but I would like more than half of them to be Black authors. And now, before we flip around to my journal to start filling things in, I have to show you the haul. For those of you that watched my journal setup video, you'll know that I am doing a low-buy. And I have to tell you now that none of these books count towards that low-buy because every single one of them was ordered sometime in 2025, and I'm only counting books that I have paid for in 2026. So I'll warn you right now, most of these, 6 of the 8 are special editions. Some of them were special orders that I ordered sometime last year, but I think 1, 2, 4 of them are monthly books, so if you don't want to see that, don't watch this portion. Just skip ahead to the journal entries. I'll start with the 2 non-special editions, so you have a little bit of time to skip ahead if you're in the middle of something. The first non-special edition I got was The Future Saints by Ashley Winstead. I actually got an ARC of this last year and have already read it, and I loved it. So I pre-ordered a copy, and this will be going straight to my trophy shelf instead of my TBR. I highly recommend it. If you like Ashley Winstead's thrillers, I think I would still recommend this to you, but this is not a thriller. This is more of a contemporary fiction. It gives me like Daisy Jones and the Six vibes. The other non-special edition I got was Meet the Newmans by Jennifer Niven. This was my aardvark pick for January. I haven't read it yet, but I want to, and I kind of need to. I need to read this, or I need to read one of my ARCs in order to mark off a new release square in the Hertged challenge later on. I think this is a historical fiction. I'm not entirely sure. It sounded really good, and I like the cover a lot. Alright, now we're getting into the special order special editions. The first one that I've got is The Fallen and the Kiss of Dusk. This is the sequel to The Songbird and the Heart of Stone, and that was Misha's story in the Crowns of Nyaxia series. This is finishing it up. It's purple. I think we've had blue, red, and orange, and now we have a purple one. And then we also have Slaying the Vampire Conqueror, which I still haven't read, even though I said I was going 2 months ago. Whatever, it's fine. I need to get to this soon so that I can mark that series as finished. Although I guess I have to read Slaying the Vampire Conqueror before I can do that. Whatever. I need to read this soon. Then the next one that I special ordered is the matching Owl Crate edition of Mate by Allie Hazelwood. I am about like 35% into this book already. I did get it from Aardvark last year because I didn't think that Owl Crate was going to do an edition. I didn't see any kind of announcement for it before it came out, and I don't think they actually put it out until like November or December when the book came out in October. So I ended up with 2 copies. I'm going to sell my Aardvark copy, so that is counting in the unhauls later on. But this is the special edition copy that I got. It's really cute, and it matches the edition of Bride that I got 2 years ago, I think. And now we have the monthly boxes. I have 4 books from monthly boxes right now. This is the Owl Crate Horror, I'm pretty sure. No, this is an Evernight book. Just kidding. This is not Owl Crate. The Owl Crate Horror book is one that I got earlier and am not going to show. It's called We Called Them Witches. I don't know anything about it. I just know that I've liked most of the Evernight books. Next is Violet Thistlethwaite is Not a Villain Anymore. It's a really cute edition. It's giving me like the Spell Shop vibes. This is Owl Crate, but I don't remember which month it's for. I think it might be January. So I paid for this in December, got it in January. It looks really cute, and it doesn't look very long either, so I'm excited to get to that soon. And then we have The Everlasting by Alex E. Harrow. I really like this author. I read The Once and Future Witches like 3 or 4 years ago, and I still think about it a lot. I didn't enjoy Starling House and The 10,000 Doors of January as much, but this is a buddy read that we were doing in Fall into Steph's Patreon group, and everyone that has read it so far has really enjoyed it. So I'm excited for it. It's really pretty. I like the edition a lot. I believe that this was the November Owl Crate book, and it came late, so I didn't get it until I got home from my Christmas vacation trip. And then last up we have Graceless Heart by Isabel Ibanez, I think is how you say her last name. I'm not positive. If that was wrong, please correct me. And I think that this was the January Owl Crate book. I might have my months mixed up. I've heard good things about this author, but I haven't heard much about this book, so I'm kind of going into this one blind. Right, those are the hauls. I don't have one of my unhauls up here, but I'll show you the rest of them. I bought this one in December. I just finished it a couple of days ago, and it just wasn't really something I want to revisit. It was fine. I think the translation was a lot of the issue with this one, and because of that, I'm never going to reread it, so I'm going to pass it along to the next person. And then for this one, Conditions of Faith by Alex Miller, I have been trying to read read like the first chapter of a few of the books on my self-destructing book stack by the end of the year. I'm trying to like pare it down and go through them and just get rid of some that just aren't going to work for me, and this is one of those. The writing in the first chapter seemed fine, but the more I looked into this, the more it made me feel kind of icky, and I don't think I want to read it. Alex Miller is a man, which isn't a bad thing by itself, but this book is supposed to be about like feminism and a woman's experience, and I just don't know that a man is going to do that justice, and it doesn't have great reviews on Storygraph either, so I'm just going to pass it along. If I'm meant to read it, I'll find it again in the future. Okay, so those are the hauls and the unhauls. Now we're going to flip around and look at my journal for the next like hour probably. I have a lot to put in there. Okay, here we are with my journal. Apologies for this sort of harsh lighting. I didn't get stuff done in time to film this before like 6:30, and the sun has already gone down. On this first page, we don't have anything to fill out yet. I am making good progress on all of these goals, so that's really all I have to tell you. I guess my biggest update is that I've already sold 22 books. Um, so I might end up upping this goal if that keeps on the way it's going. And I might try to sell 200 books instead of 100. And I'm making really good progress with my Audible library. I think I'm down to 2, maybe 3. I can't remember for sure. I have one that I'm listening to right now, and then I have 1 or 2 more after that to listen to. On this one, I have read 3 of these so far. 2 of the books that I read were rereads. So I read Red Rising, which I read for the first time probably like 4 years ago. This was a solid 3-star for me. It wasn't that memorable, but I liked it enough to keep going with the series. I have Golden Sun out from the library right now, and I'm going to attempt it. However, if Golden Sun isn't any better than Red Rising, like if I don't give it a higher rating and I don't remember more from it than I remember from Red Rising, I'm just going to be done with the series. Um, in case I wasn't very clear about what this whole series page is, some of these are ones that I own the entirety of the series. Some of them are ones where I only own like the next one. So like Good Girl Bad Blood, that's the only one I own in the series right now. Um, but for like Red Rising, the 5th season, and Annihilation, I own the entire series. So I'm trying to finish the entire series. Whereas with like that one, I'm just trying to read the next one. So some of these I will probably put like book 2 next to it and put my rating so that I can track that. But the next one on this that I've read is the 5th season. This was the first time that I've read the 5th season, and I gave it 5 stars. Um, I don't want to say too much about this because I think that the big thing that happens in the book was spoiled for me because I heard just a tiny bit too much from people who had read it before. So I don't want to tell you anything about it. Um, the only thing I didn't like about this was that I was able to call something that happened because I knew just a tiny bit too much. But yeah, I really liked it. I have the rest of the series and I have the audiobook for The Obelisk Gate on hold right now. And then the third one on this page that I read this month was Annihilation. This one was also a read for me. I think I am going to bump my rating down to 4 stars from my initial 5-star, but I still had a really good time. I really liked it. I have all of the series that's currently out and will continue with that. I think I have the second one out from the library on audio already, so that will probably be one of my next reads. Moving on, I don't have anything to mark on either of these pages. Hopefully I'll have a couple of these to mark off. I have Son of the Morning, which is by a Black author, so I may try to read that in February. I know that lots of people loved it. My mom didn't love it so much, but I'm hoping that I'll like it. For my horror curriculum, I did read a couple of horror books this month, but none of them were by authors of color, unfortunately. Yeah, so the only horror I read this month were by white authors. I do have a list for Herkyed that has quite a few on it, and I'll probably try to get to those as we go on. For February, I'm really hoping to read a horror book by a Black author. I think I have a couple in my stack that I'll show you for my TBR later. Hopefully I'll be able to mark something off on here next month. For the 2025 Our Fantasy Bingo card, I have one book that I'm going to mark off for it. I don't have the picture, so I'm just going to make a little mark on the square and print out the photo of the cover later and stick it on top. I think I want to just tape them in one little spot so that I can flip them up and see what prompt they are being used for. But that is the 5th season. I am going to use it for square 10 for a book club or read-along book. I checked the spreadsheet that they have for Herkyed, and the 5th season was a book club pick at one point. I don't know what year it was for, but I'm not really following the hard mode rule of like it has to be this year. because I'm not even doing the bingo card the way it's supposed to be done. I think it's supposed to start in April and then you continue on through the next April. But I started it in January, so I only have 3 months to complete this technically before the new one comes out. So we're just not going to follow those rules. But that is one square marked off so far. Hopefully I'll mark off more in February. I didn't finish anything on this lifestyle bingo card, so I'm just going to cover it up for a minute. Let me actually... None of these can get marked off quite yet, but I am actively working on some of them, like paying off my credit card. I'm working on saving $6,000. I've saved quite a bit this month, actually. And I'm well on my way to making $1,000 from side hustles. I made $50 from house sitting this weekend, and I made a little over $60 for Pango. And then I feel like there was something else that I did this month, but I can't remember. I need to start tracking that. And then I didn't do any of these, but I have been crafting. I've been doing a lot of sewing. I mended a lot of things. I'm well on my way to working out 3 times every week. And 20-pound dumbbell arm exercises is well within reach. I did a full upper body workout with 10 pounds today, and a lot of the exercises were easy. So I will be bumping up to 15 soon. I'll probably have to start going to the gym to be able to do that. And then calf raises will hopefully be complete this month because I can't, well, I guess I can be done with PT whenever I want to, but I am planning to continue PT until I'm able to run comfortably without injuring myself. And one of the things they said I have to do is calf raises in order to get my calf strength back. Then the booked ones, like I said, I'm well on my way to 100 books being sold. I'm working on a lot of series. I didn't finish any this month, but I made progress in a lot. And my own TBR under 325, I am down to 408 unread, I think. Yes, I'm down to 408 unread, and I started the year with 412, so I made a difference of 4 books, even with that big haul that I have. And then the rest of these I'm working on. I have been posting once a week. I've done either a YouTube video or an Instagram post every single week. So far, most of the time, I've done more than one, so I'm doing well on that. For my ticket to buy, I can mark off 8 squares, which means I have technically earned 1 book. I will say that this morning I got 3 books from Aardvark. So I have a lot of catching up to do. And I also ordered a Frogged Smut book from Powell's because I didn't want to ask my librarians to buy it for me. So I need to get this up to 4 earned books so far. And I feel like there was another book that I ordered, but I can't remember for sure. I'll have to go back and check my receipts. I did order an Owl Crate book, but that's not coming until March. And it is a continuation of a series that I started. It was the B.K. Borison book. I think it was, And Now Back to You, I think is what it was called. I ordered it from Owl Crate to match my first book in the series. So, that's that. I will add pictures of the covers once I get the books in here. And hopefully I'll be through this whole page by the end of February. We'll have to wait and see. This did include... Actually, it didn't. I also have a DNF, so I need to put 9 squares. I read 8 books from my TBR. One of them, I had 2 copies of it, so that counts twice. That was 6 of Crows. Then I read... I'm not counting Annihilation or Red Rising because those were rereads. I read No Rings Attached for a library book club. I ended up having to buy the audiobook of that, and I'm just not going to count it towards this because I did try really hard to get it from the library and it just didn't work out. I read The Harvest by Sarah Clancy. That was one of my Audible books, and it was really bad. So I DNF'd the series and got 2 more books off of my TBR. I finished an arc. I finished When I Was Death by Alexis Henderson. I liked this one okay, but it was a YA book, so it read really young to me. And I didn't know that when I requested the arc, otherwise I wouldn't have requested it. But that counts towards this. And then I read the 5th season. I read another arc that I got sometime last year. I originally tried to read this one physically and had to put it down because I just couldn't make it through. And I felt like I was doing a disservice to the book by forcing myself to read it that way, so I waited until I could get the audiobook. And that book is No Sense in Wishing Essays by Lawrence Burney. This is about the music industry in Baltimore and specifically the black music industry and the racism that so many people experience there. And then the last book that I read was I Want to Die, but I Want to Eat Teobaki by Baek Sahay. And that was a translated work, and it ended up just being okay. But all of that together, plus my DNF of The Crusades, which was a nonfiction book that I had on Audible that was just really boring, equals up to 9. So I am almost to 2 earned books. I'm probably going to have to add more of these pages at the rate that I'm going. Here we are on series. So I added a couple of things. Actually, I need to draw some lines. Hang on. Okay, we're 1 box short, but that's fine. I had read the first one of this series last year, so I'm going to put it in this purple color. And then the rest of them I'm going to do in this nice like greenish blue. So I read the first one in both of these. And then I am up to volume 5, I think. I'm up to volume 4. So volume 5 is the next one that I have to read for Witch Hat Atelier. And I think those are the only series I have to put on here right now. Yes, everything else is either a reread or series that I am not going to continue on with. For this, I am going to say that I want to read 1 mystery or thriller for February's prompt, which is puzzle/divine. And then for hobbies, I want to finish my word search book that I've been working on. I decluttered my craft room upstairs and I found a bunch of like puzzle books, and I've been working through them instead of just throwing them away. And then I also want to do 2 puzzles. I may add some more to this as the month goes on, but for now I think those are a good start. Then we are on to TBR-a-thon. I am going to use this page to make my TBR for February, so I don't have anything to put here yet, but when we get to the TBR portion, I will write in my prompts here. And then for TBR Explorer, I'm going to mark off 1 prompt right now. I am going to do genre, and I'm using Annihilation to... Oh, that's a tiny pen. Hang on. I'm using Annihilation to mark off horror on the genre section. And then for Map of Stories, I did 2 of the prompts for Old Growth Forest. I still need to do historical setting, but I'm using No Sense in Wishing for 1 person on the cover and 6 of Crows for a booktuber rec. No Sense in Wishing, I'll pop the cover up here. Ooh, so sorry. It's like a boy with a Mickey hat on as the cover, and then 6 of Crows is one of Sid Bookworm's favorite series, I think, or maybe it was Shadow and Bone. Either way, I'm taking that as a recommendation from her. And I will come back next month, hopefully with a historical setting. And then we get to Herkyed. I have a list of everything that I'm going to put in for this. It's going to get a little bit messy, and I don't have the covers printed out yet, but for these ones, I will put covers there eventually, just not today. So I am currently leaving the A to Z challenge for later because I want to use books for harder prompts if I can. If I find one that has like a Z or an X or a Y, I'll probably use it for the alphabet challenge instead of something else. But for now, we're going to leave this one. I have a few books that I haven't used for anything. I have a lot of W's for some reason. So one of them will probably go here for the W, and then I'll figure out something else for the rest of them. I haven't done the blurb challenge. I didn't have a book in mind for it. I might try to do that this month. But for this one, I have a garage sale book to add. I'm going to put the 5th season for one of these. I bought it used at some point. I don't remember where I got it from, but my copy is definitely used. And so that counts for that. And then for the last 12 years, I've actually covered a lot of these already. For 2018, I'm going to use I Want to Die, But I Want to Eat Teobaki, the book that I am unfortunately getting rid of. I don't remember how to spell this one. Okay, so that's 2018. 2015, I have Six of Crows. Then 2022 is No Rings Attached. I haven't talked about No Rings Attached much. I thought it was fine. It's a romance about two women, one who is from the UK but lives in New York, and one who's from New York but lives in the UK, and they end up being each other's dates to a wedding and pretending to be together, and surprise, surprise, they end up together. We read this for book club at the library, and a lot of people enjoyed it, but a lot of them also had quite a few issues with it. For me personally, I just didn't really get much for one of the characters, and I don't like that. One of the characters had a lot more development than the other. The other one was kind of like perfect already and didn't really have anything that they needed to improve upon throughout the book, and she ended up being like, I don't know how to describe it. She ended up being like the rock for the other person, and the other person had a lot of mental problems that they needed to work through and that they hadn't been working through for the past 15 or so years. And I just find it really difficult to believe that a 30-something-year-old wouldn't have attempted to work through any of their issues in the 15 years since the situation that happened that caused them happened. So I give that one 3 stars. I am a little annoyed that I bought it on Libro, but it's whatever. It's another book off the TBR. For 2019, I have The Harvest, which is another book that I did not enjoy, but at least it's filling a hole in Herkyed. I've already filled 2026 with When I Was Death. That was the Alexis Henderson book I mentioned. This one is about a girl whose sister died recently. She died like less than a year before the book is set, and it comes to light that she was hanging out with some girls who are doing work for like literal death, like death personified. It's a person, well, he takes the form of a person, but he is death. And they go around ending people's lives when it's their time, and I just felt like it needed more. The premise was really good. I didn't like the way that the girls talked, but they were teenagers, so I don't think I'm supposed to relate to them. And I just wish that we had gotten more. We got a lot of background from a lot of the girls, but there were some girls who didn't get any of their background really shared, and I wish we could have seen that for everybody. So, yeah. I am going to keep reading from Alexis Henderson. I read An Academy for Liars last year and really liked it. And I also have House of Hunger on my TBR stack for February because Alexis Henderson is Black. So I am going to try and read something else from her this month, and hopefully that will go better than When I Was Death did. The last year that I have is 2025, and that is No Sense in Wishing. If you are even remotely interested in music or interested in learning more about how racism has impacted people on the East Coast, I would recommend this one. I highly recommend the audiobook. Lawrence Burney's voice is very nice to listen to, and he describes things in a way that is easy to understand. You can see that I have half of the last 12 years already covered. The next part that I have something to put in is the series. I read Six of Crows, which will go in duology. I'm just going to write the titles in the boxes for now and add the photos at a later time. Then for trilogy, I have Fifth Season. And I theoretically could use Witch Hat Atelier for the quartet or more, but I don't really feel like filling in, how many boxes? 14? So I think I'm going to wait and maybe use something like Dungeon Crawler Carl, or I have like A Pirate's Life for Tea, whatever series that is. I have other series that I can use for this. So I think I'm going to hold off on that for now. If you're keeping track, we are now at 2 prompts for Six of Crows and Fifth Season, so I can't use those anymore. I have one to put in here. I read Watership Down because a friend really enjoyed it, and this is about rabbits. Rabbits during World War I. The audiobook for this is narrated by Peter Capaldi, at least the version that I listened to, and I do really appreciate his voice, but I did not like Watership Down. I'm going to use it for wild animals because the majority of the rabbits in this book are wild rabbits. They're wild hares. I could probably use it for farm animals too because they do meet some rabbits that are on a farm in a rabbit hutch, but I think I'm just going to leave it at wild animals for right now. Next up, I have one to put in here for lesbian. No Rings Attached is about lesbians. I think they're both only into women. I don't know for sure, but that's the vibe I was getting. I'm just making sure that I haven't used that one more than once. I have not. So we will put No Rings Attached here. And that is the second time I've used it, so no more for that one. For Heritage Months, I have added the month that these holidays happen in, and we didn't have one for January, so I'm not going to count anything towards this. I will be reading something that counts towards Black History Month in February. Don't know what yet. For Disability Rep, I feel like at least one of these books has disability in it, but I don't know for sure, so I'm not going to count that. But for Translation Challenge, I can count I Want to Eat Teobaki. I Want to Die, but I Want to Eat Teobaki because it was translated. And that is the second time I've used this one. Award season, I'm still kind of picking the award that I'm going to do. I think I'm going to do the Hugos or the Nebulas. I can't remember which one it was. I wrote it down somewhere. But I have a lot of books that have been nominated for that, and I also have a lot that have won. So I think I'm just going to use those, and it'll have to be from different years because a lot of them are series. For new releases, I am planning to read either Meet the Newmans or Emily Austin's new book for January. I just haven't gotten to it yet. I have at least until the end of February to read either of those because they came out in the middle of January, so I have a little bit of time. For February, I am planning to read The Pahaku by Leilani. I can't remember her last name. She wrote Hula, which I read last year, and I loved that one. I asked the library to buy a copy of The Pahaku for me, so I will be borrowing it from the library when it comes out. For By the Hundreds, I decided not to use any of these books for this one. I might go back on that later on. For genre, I'm going to use Annihilation for sci-fi. And for nonfiction, I'm going to use No Sense in Wishing. And I Want to Die, But I Want to Eat Teobaki. Both of these are technically memoirs, so they fall into the nonfiction category. I'm hoping to read some other kinds of nonfiction in the next couple of months, like some science ones or like some history, stuff like that. This nonfiction was the second prompt for both of these books, so I can't use them for anything else. BIPOC rep, I am going to put When I Was Deaf for one of these. And that is the second prompt that one has been used for. And then I'm also going to use Annihilation on this Rainbow Challenge for a black cover. The copy that I now own has a black cover. It's like the 25th anniversary edition or something like that. It's mainly black with like shiny metallic animals on the covers. I'll show you that later. And then I don't think I have anything for creatures or adaptations, and I noticed while I was going through that I mixed these up. Creatures should be down here and adaptations should be up there, but it's fine. It's whatever. They have the same number of books for them, and I'll know what I'm marking later on. Right. The only thing we have left to update is my monthly stats. I hauled 8 books. I unhauled 3. I read 12, which totaled 4,190 pages. And then I sold 22 books, and I think this earnings number is slightly off, but it's fine. But I think I earned $67.45 from selling those 22 books. And then I would have to say my best book this month was The Fifth Season. And then my worst book was The Harvest. I think I only gave that one 2 stars. Okay, so those are all of the journal updates. We are now going to flip back to this page, Lost in the Library, and I'm going to do 5 rolls for my TBR. Okay, I'm going to use this little guy as my game piece. Doesn't want to focus, does it? This little guy, he'll be my game piece. We're going to start in the middle. Let me pull this down a little bit. And then I think I want to use... I feel like I want to use this D8 to figure out my spaces to move. I might switch to a D6 if this ends up like being too much, but I don't think it will be. So we have 2. So I can pick hobby break, young adult fiction, new or old, book on the cover, or TBR. I think I'm going to go with TBR. I need to write these down as we go. Also, I may do more rolls as the month goes on. I do read more than 5 books each month, so if I am like struggling to pick what I want to read, I'll probably do another roll. Next, I have 7, which takes me to. Can either go to nonfiction, treat yourself, TBR again, renewal, 5-star prediction, or out of your comfort zone. I think I want to go with 5-star prediction for this one. Okay. Roll number 3. I got a 5. I don't know if you can see that. I could go to 5-star prediction, renewal, nonfiction, spell read with the title author. I don't want to do that. Latinx author, new or old, LGBTQIA plus author, or 2026 goal. I think I want to do 2026 goal. Roll number 4. We got a 4. So I can go to TBR, 2026 goal, immigrant refugee main character, read a debut, banned book, move back 1. I don't think I want to do that. Middle grade fiction. I don't really want to read middle grade right now. I kind of think I'm going to do banned book. Yeah, I think I want to do banned book. And then the last roll that I'm going to do for now, I might do more later on. I got another 4, so I can do 5-star prediction. Black author. That's perfect for February. All right, I am going to flip you back around, and we are going to go through the books that I'm going to read for these 5 prompts. Okay, we're back, and I've picked some books. For prompt number 1, which was TBR, I chose Razorblade Tears by S.A. Cosby. I think this is more of like a thriller situation, but I picked this one because I am going to try to use it for the Year of Cozy prompt too, a thriller mystery. So if I only get to one, it'll be this one. I think this is about, it's a man who is trying to figure out why his son, who was black but was married to a white man, has been murdered, and he and the white man's father join up to figure out what happened and why their sons were murdered. So that's this one. If you haven't heard of this one, I'm really not sure where you've been on the internet. Most people I watch have read this and loved it, so I'm excited for that. Roll number 2, I got a 5-star prediction. This is one that has been on my TBR for quite a while. I also bought her newest one. I think it was called Come and Get It. And that was on NPR's Best Books of 2024. And I was supposed to read it and I didn't. So we're going to go back to her and read Such a Fun Age by Kylie Reed. This one is about a woman who... She's a powerful woman, and her babysitter is confronted while watching her toddler one night. The store's security guard saw her maid, not maid, it's not a maid, her babysitter, who is a black woman, out late with a white child, and assumed that she had kidnapped the toddler that she was babysitting. And that's the gist of it. It sounds like we maybe get 2 points of view, one from the white family and one from the black babysitter. we'll see what happens with that one. Role number 3 is 2026 goal. So I decided to put in the next book in the 5th season trilogy, which is The Obelisk Gate. Like with the 5th season, I don't really want to tell you much of anything about it, but I am hoping to finish this one up, this series up in February. So if I get to this one, I also want to get to the Stone Sky because I own the whole series. Silly me. Yeah, so that's my 2026 goal that I'm going to focus on. I have a couple of other ones that I could put in here. But yeah, this is what I'm going to go with for now and see what happens. For role number 4, I got a banned book, and I'm choosing to do Parable of the Sower by Octavia E. Butler. I have read a couple other Octavia E. Butlers, one that I loved and one that I kind of hated. I loved Kindred, and I kind of hated Fledgling, and I am finding out now that I maybe shouldn't have read Fledgling second. I maybe should have gone with this or Wild Seed instead and read Fledgling last after I got a better feel for her work, but it's too late for that. I loved Kindred so much that hating Fledgling doesn't really push me off of her, so I want to get to this one. I have the Parable of the Talents as well, so I kind of need to read these. But that'll mark off another series. I think this might be on my 26 and 26. I can't remember. It's not, but that's okay. It's another series that I'm working on. And then my last role number 5, was just Black author in general. And so I decided to do a little romance because it's February, the month of love as well. And that is going to be Highly Suspicious and Unfairly Cute by Talia Hibbert. I loved the Brown Sisters trilogy by this author, and then I bought this one. It honestly might have been last January. This might be on my Read What I Buy in 2025 list. I can't remember for sure. But I need to get to this one. I've heard people don't like this as much as they like the Brown Sisters trilogy, but it's also a YA novel. So I'm not expecting it to be as spicy as the Brown Sisters was. I also think that the main character might be asexual. So I'm interested to see how that goes. Don't quote me on the asexual part. That might be wrong. But yeah, so those are the 5 books I'm going to read for the game. I have a couple other ones that I have other reasons that I need to read them. So People We Meet on Vacation by Emily Henry. I've read like 3 of Emily Henry's books and loved them all, and the movie of this came out last month, and my mom and I decided to make this our buddy read. So this is what I'll be reading with her for the month of February so that we can watch the movie. And then I was supposed to read this in January and I didn't, but I still want to. So I am going to work on this. This is The Fellowship of the Ring. Sorry, this cover is kind of beat up. You might not be able to read it. This was supposed to be my book for Renaissance, and I didn't get to it. So we're going to revisit it. I think I need to do some doctoring because some pages are falling out. But this is my dad's copy from, I think, the 70s. I don't remember how old he was. There's no copyright page in this. Yeah, so there's no copyright page in this. I have no idea when this was published, but it was my dad's copy, so it doesn't really matter because I'm never going to get rid of it. And then the last one that I really want to get to because a movie is coming out is Wuthering Heights. I have a bad feeling about the movie, if I'm being completely honest. I have loved everything that I've seen from Emerald Fennell and Margot Robbie in the past. However, I am just struggling to see any kind of justification for making Heathcliff a very white man. So I want to read the book, and then I will be seeing the movie. But I am probably going to judge it pretty harshly regardless of what happens in the book, because I don't see any world where there's a justification for changing this man's race. And also, you picked Jacob Elordi, and I personally think there are more attractive white men that you could have picked if you were going to change his race. So, like, I don't know. I want to know what's going on. There's been so much discussion around the movie. And like I said, I've enjoyed everything I've seen from them before, but I have a feeling that I'm not going to like this movie, and I want to be able to go in with notes about why I don't like it. So I will be reading this very soon. Apparently at some point I read up to page 79. I have a bookmark in here. Don't know when I did that, but yeah, I will be reading Wuthering Heights. Then the last things I have are just some stacks of maybes that I've pulled out for if I happen to get through all of these books. I don't have high hopes of getting through all of them. I'm going to separate them really quick because I have Black authors and then just general books. Okay, I'm gonna start with my just general things I want to read section, and then we'll go into the Black authors. Like I said, February is puzzle / divine for the Year of Cozy, so I pulled out a couple of books that would fit with that. I have Long Bright River by Liz Moore. I read God of the Woods last year. I think it was last year, and I loved it. This is the same author, and I'm assuming it's another thriller mystery situation. And then I figured it might be time for me to get to Finley Donovan is Killing It. I felt like the cover was pretty on topic for February. It's pink and it's also a mystery. And then because February is the month of love, I also have Soul Searching by Lila Sage. This is one that I've been meaning to get to for a few months. Now that I'm thinking about it, I also have A Love Song for Ricky Wilde by Tia Williams, and I might try to get to that instead of this one, because Tia Williams is Black and Lila Sage is not. But we'll just have to wait and see. These are just potentials. And then I have a pretty hefty stack of Black authors. The Principle of Moments is an Illumicrate book that I've been trying to get to for months now. Maybe this is the push I need. The Stone Sky, I'll try to read if I get to the Obelisk Gate. And then House of Hunger by Alexis Henderson is just a horror by a Black author. I talked about Alexis a little bit earlier on. I've liked what I've read from her. Then I have a couple of short story collections. I have How Long Till Black Future Month and The Office of Historical Corrections. This is by N.K. Jemisin, the same author as the 5th season. I looked at it and the stories are only like 15 to 20 pages, so I may try to read a story from this a night. However, I may be N.K. Jemisin out for the time being. I may save this for later on. And then this one, The Office of Historical Corrections, a novella and stories. So this isn't just stories, it's also a novella. Yeah, the stories in this are also like 15 to 30 pages, so I may actually put this on my nightstand right now and read a story from it tonight. I'll wait and see how I feel when I get in bed. And then I've also got these 4 that I pulled out. Girl, Woman, Other is one that I've been meaning to get to for a long time. It won the Booker Prize in 2019. So if I'm doing the Booker Prize for Herkyad, this could qualify. Ace of Spades is a mystery thriller horror situation by a Black author. And The Prophets and The Final Revival of Opal and Neb are both books that I bought at the used bookstore. Not really knowing much about them, but they're both by Black authors, and this is supposedly like Daisy Jones and the Six vibes. So I've been feeling Daisy Jones and the Six, so I might prioritize this one. But this one I think is just I feel like it's a mystery, but I'm not sure. No, it's a historical fiction. It's a debut novel about the forbidden union between 2 enslaved young men on a deep South plantation, the refuge they find in each other, and the betrayal that threatens their existence. So I think this may be a gay historical fiction. I'm not sure, but I have it, so I might as well read it. I think with that, we will end the video. I am hopeful that this is under 45 minutes. I tried my best. Let me know what you think of this new format. If you really want me to, I can go back to giving you reviews of every single book I read. I will say I didn't talk about 3 volumes of Witch Hat Atelier in this. I liked all of them. I'm going to keep going on with the series. But otherwise, I did at least mention everything else that I read. Let me know how you feel about this. If you want me to change anything, if you feel like you get more out of a different format, any of that, just let me know. If you've made it this far and you don't have anything else to say, leave me a compass emoji for the compass on this cover. And I will see you in the next one soon. Thanks for watching. Bye.